Hey, welcome back to Carly Stevens Books. I am Carly Stevens, of course, and I was thinking since it's the beginning of the year about my writing career. It's been 3.5 years since my first book was published, and since then I have over 10 titles. If people ask how many books I have out, it kind of depends on what you think counts as a book. In terms of novels, I have five of them, but I have other books that can sit on a shelf as well. So anyway, I was thinking back over the 3.5 years of publishing, and I thought I would crystallize just some of the lessons that I've learned, the mistakes that I've made, things I wish I had done differently, and stuff that really worked over the course of that time. So here is just a bunch that I have learned over the past few years. This is by no means all of it, because if you're a writer, you know it's just a constant process. But yeah, kind of looking back, and hopefully some of these things can help you as well if you are an author, no matter where you are in your journey, because everybody's careers, or even just if you don't plan to make a career out of writing, everybody's writing looks different. So I'm going to start with this is kind of disorganized, but I'm going to start with some things I learned about writing itself, like the craft. I feel like that's something that has definitely improved over time. I had some strengths early on, but my more recent books, Kingdoms on Fire, I brought some of these over. Kingdoms on Fire and Laertes are probably my two best books. I just think my craft has gotten better, and a lot of that is due to pacing. Pacing really matters. My earlier books struggled with pacing, which made sense for Furion Rising, because I started writing it just completely pantsing Furion Rising when I was 17. So I was following the characters around, doing whatever, and I did tighten up the pacing from the original draft by quite a bit, but I had a ways to go before I feel like I'm much stronger at pacing now. So pacing is just the movement of the story forward. It's not like everything has to be super fast paced, but there does have to be this consistent pull through the story, no matter if it's a more contemplative book like Laertes is. It's a dark, contemplative kind of book, or a fast paced book, but something needs to draw you through all of that and make you feel compelled to continue. And that's what I mean by having good pacing. It's that compulsion to keep going. So that's something I've discovered, is that pacing really matters. Another thing that has just become clearer and clearer to me, especially as the audiobooks for the Tanya Academy series have come out, and I've been revisiting that whole set, is to not forget to have my characters save the cat. So if you're not familiar with that terminology, it's from the Save the Cat. It's really a series of books. Save the Cat Writes a Novel is the one that I have referred to, but the screenwriting book was the first one. In any case, saving the cat is making sure that your character does something likable or selfless or something at the beginning, especially of a book. So even though they have a long way to go, even though they might even be a villain, there's something redeemable and good about them. And for Furion, he does have some relatable qualities, some good things early on, but then I leaned really hard into his negative character arc, and I discovered that it really is important to make sure that there still are these positive, redeemable qualities early on. For Laertes, too, he is somebody who in the book could be read as somebody who is violent and sexist and these different things. So what is it that is lovable about him, and he learns a lot about himself. If you read the book, he doesn't end in the same place that he begins, of course, but there is more of a conscious effort on my part to have the characters save the cat. So it's one of those obvious things, but it just didn't feel as obvious when I was writing. So I'm better about that now. Something else that I've learned is it's so important to know my tropes and my pitch for the book and my audience. The Tan Yuen Academy series is something that I'm so proud of, particularly the last book. I mean, this thing is like my magnum opus currently. But the book that has sold best is Laertes. And I think that's just because it's so much easier to pitch. I know who the audience is. I know who's going to be reading this book, and there's no ambiguity. I don't need to say, well, if you like this book, then you probably will like this book. I can say, if you enjoy If We Were Villains, you will like Laertes. If you're obsessed with Hamlet, you will like Laertes. It's a dark academia Hamlet retelling. It's just so easy to express. And with the Tan Yuen Academy series, it is a young adult fantasy, but it's character driven, even though it has a lot of Matrix style action. So it's easy. It's good to know exactly how to pitch your books, ideally before they come out. Looking at not so much craft stuff, I've discovered that TikTok works to sell books. I'm not selling a ton of books these days. I'm still making my way. But something that's actually moved the needle is going on TikTok. I resisted it for a long time because I have a slightly obsessive personality, and I also have this consistency when I don't even need to have consistency or responsibility. Like, I feel bad if I miss a day or miss a week of YouTube. I missed a week a little while ago, and it was just, I needed to give myself some grace, and it's not the end of the world, and my audience isn't that big. They probably won't even notice. So I knew if I went on TikTok, I could get sucked in really easily, and it would be hard to let go. But once I went part-time with my teaching job, making that decision was easier, and I discovered that it actually does make a difference in who knows about your books and who doesn't. So that was something that I'm glad I figured out, and I'm going to try to continue to use going forward. Gosh, I have so many notes that I've made here. Just something kind of small that I've realized is that you can't sell public domain works wide. So most of my stuff is wide, which means that it's not exclusive to Amazon, but it's also available elsewhere and in other countries and on other platforms, things like that. So when the Hamlet Reader came out, which I did not bring over here to my desk, but it's up there, which is kind of a companion to Laertes. If people want to read the original play and some of the criticism on it and the source materials for it and the research that I did and the things that, all of that kind of thing, then you can get the Hamlet Reader, which is all public domain except for an introduction and a few notes by me kind of sprinkled throughout. And so I figured out that you can't sell that like wide. You can sell it on Amazon with some stipulations. You need to have something that is new about it, which is fair. That makes perfect sense. I get it. But I tried to sell it wide, and that didn't work. I've tried a lot of things that have not worked, and one of them is like the amount that I spent at the beginning. If I were to go back and start this publishing thing all over again, I would have started with a lower investment, because you can start with a lower investment and still not sacrifice quality. But I had this cover service recommended by somebody on YouTube, Demonza out of New Zealand, and they are truly excellent. I mean, they're absolutely professional, indistinguishable from the traditionally published works out there, which is exactly what I wanted. I didn't want my books to look self-published. I wanted them to look traditionally published, but with all the perks of self-publishing. So I went with them, but their service was really very expensive. And I have since found a service that I'm currently using that is less than half the price, or about half the price. No, less than half the price. It's like a third of the price of these covers, and you can't tell much of a difference. So these would be Damanza, for example. Firian Rising is Damanza, and these are 100 covers. So I did ask if I could use the basic similarities, if I could keep the design and go with another service. I did talk to Damanza about that, and they said yes, so that's why this looks the same. And this one was just all 100 covers, and it's absolutely beautiful. It's much cheaper. I would highly recommend them. You do need to be more explicit about what you want with 100 covers. For this cover, for example, we really went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. I don't want it to look piratey. I want to make sure that you can see the 20s design in the background. I want a flower in the mouth. No, that flower looks fake. No, change the color, So there was definitely some of that, but they were very accommodating and got things done. So anyway, all that to say, what I assumed is that by spending more on these like top shelf services, that would translate into greater return on investment. And there is no one-to-one with that. Yes, get a good cover. Yes, make sure everything's edited well, but just because you're spending more does not mean that you'll be earning more. So I'm still trying to kind of pay off those covers and still trying to, make a profit in the business. And I think that was because of a few things, but some missteps early on, and then getting a bunch of audiobooks. But I don't regret that. I probably should have waited until I had more money to spend on that, but I've just enjoyed those so much that it hasn't really been a problem for me. Which leads me to my next thing, which is to I discovered how important it was to decide what was important to me. I listened to a lot of podcasts, especially early on, and watched a lot of YouTube, and figured, and some of those people said, figure out what success means to you, because it doesn't mean the same thing to everybody. For some, it's being a 6-figure author and coming out with a book every month, and that's not the kind of thing that drives me. It's not the way that I work usually. So I gave it some thought, what actually matters to me, and I wanted the answer to that to be the guiding principle of the decisions that I made for my author business. And number one, right at the top, was I want to enjoy my life. Obviously, there are parts of any job that are not super fun. There are days when I'm stressed and that kind of thing, but mostly I choose what I enjoy, and I don't make as much as a lot of other people, and I'm honestly okay with that. Of the things that matter to me, it's enjoying my life, creating super fans. It just means so much to me when people enjoy my work, when it touches them, or they are entertained, or they feel compelled to reach out and just say how much they enjoyed it. I can't even tell you how much that is a huge boost to me. So super fans, people who connect with these stories, and then money was third. I do want to make money. Hopefully this year is the year that is that changes for the better, but enjoying my life was always first. So when it came to audiobooks, financially, not a great decision. Enjoying life, yeah, I enjoyed the heck out of those audiobooks. Right now it's just the Tanyman Academy series. But all three are out now. And this year, Laertes is also going to come out in audio. And I couldn't be any more excited than I am. So that's something else that I learned this past year. All three of the Tanyuan Academy audiobooks came out in 2022. And I have just discovered how much I absolutely adore turning my stuff into audio. It's an expensive venture, and it's not something that I can necessarily do just on a whim. But I love it. I love it so much. And I've also discovered over the past few years how much I love art. Some of my favorite moments in my whole author career have been getting the covers. I mean, look how gorgeous this thing is. Look at it. I just can't get over it. And there have been a handful of times, not very many, but a handful of times when fan art has shown up on Instagram or somewhere else. There are barely words to express my excitement and happiness when I see that. It's been a while since I've seen some fan art, but I'm on the edge of commissioning some more, and I'm like, okay, you need to calm down, make financially good decisions. But I love audiobooks and I love art, whether that be maps or fan art or book covers, or I really want to get some character art done. So yeah, I discovered that about myself for sure. Let's see, on my list here, ARC teams. I really love kind of spoiling people who do enjoy my work. So I have not an army, but I have a few fans, like really big fans of the Tanyuan Academy series and or of Laertes, and they just absolutely love it. I love coming up with extra stuff for them. I really love spoiling people who enjoy it. So that goes to my second metric for success, is that creating super fans. That kind of interaction is just like life to me. So I love an ARC team. I want to continue doing ARC teams, and I want to figure out how best to grow an ARC team as well. So that'll be something that I learn more about this year as I begin the next series, which will be in the Tanyuan Academy world. And that's going to launch here, I think, in the summertime. I hope so. We shall see. But the story comes first. That needs to be in good shape. It needs to be something that I'm proud of, and then I can release it to you. Let's see. Thanks for sticking with me, by the way. It's kind of like a coffee talk. Just talking honestly about, author career stuff. But yeah, something else that I've realized, and that I have to continually remind myself about, is that my career is not going to look like somebody else's. And sometimes I really want it to. I want to be, Leigh Bardugo or something whose career looks suspiciously like mine. I mean, mine's like a teeny little microcosm, but I have my flagship trilogy, and it's young adult fantasy with some similar themes to Shadow and Bone, and then all of a sudden here I go, kind of flash sideways to like new adult dark academia, and then coming back. But anyway, yeah, so my career won't look like anybody else's, as long as it's something that, again, I'm enjoying and that I can be proud of, and I'm moving forward and learning from my mistakes and things that go well. Then I've got to be okay with that. I have things about my writing career so far that have just been spectacular, and other areas where I'm not where I want to be at the moment. So, like, it's okay that my career doesn't look the same as other people's. And and it's okay that I don't know all of the, like, my own processes. I've been thinking recently about, like, what's the process of writing a novel for me? And there are some things that have worked, and I have shared some of those, and I will continue to share those on the channel. But there's not something that works for every book. Every book is kind of different. Fury and Rising, it was 14 years from start to publication. I have a pen name, and it was a month, from 1 month for a novel from start to publication. I don't know how often I can do something like that, but it turns out I can do it. So what kind of a range is that? How insane is that? I've been a plotter, I've been a pantser. I just don't really fall into any neat, or that many neat boxes. And that's okay if you don't fall into a neat box either, but you're kind of all over the place, but you're getting stuff done, then okay. That's go for it. You are yourself. You have the stories that you want to tell, and tell them the way you need to. So, one thing that has become very clear to me, though, in the last like 5 months probably, is the importance of prioritizing the words, the story itself. I've spent so much time trying to market and advertise and establish a platform and all of these things, even YouTube, which I enjoy. But I've spent all this time on all these other things, and for quite a while the actual writing was on the back burner. And now that I've come back to more of a writing habit, and I'm making a lot of progress on these stories, it's such a good reminder that I need to prioritize the words. That's what this whole career is. The career is these books, If I'm not writing them, then I will be forgotten. I won't have anything to provide people, and those are really what I'm proud of. I'll just gaze at my at my bookshelf and all my books up there, and I'll just be really proud of myself. That's something else that I've embraced over the past few years since I've started publishing, is just be your own biggest fan. There will be times when people don't like your books. There will be times when you get bad reviews or things go wrong. The very first comment that I ever got on a YouTube video, when I first started my first channel, it was 2 words, and the first one started with an F. I'm sure you can guess what that was about. So you're gonna get some trolls. You're gonna get some bad feedback. People are gonna hate your characters or whatever. But if you are a huge fan of your own work, so what? you enjoy it. You care about these people. I get myself merch. I got this Laertes bag for Christmas, and I love it. I asked for it, of course. But yeah, it's so important to be your own biggest fan. Like, don't be ashamed of the stuff that you like or that you've written. Just lean into your passions, and somebody else will meet you there. Like, I'm obsessed with Hamlet, and it's very dorky, and it's consistent throughout many years, and everyone's like, Hamlet, got it. But now I have this book out, and a lot of people are really connecting with it and enjoying the references, and just because I leaned into what mattered to me. And that's true for my main series as well. I really put a lot of myself in this. And so, sure, a lot of people don't like these books. That's fine. It's not going to be for everybody. There are some things in here that I understand. That's okay. But But I tried to write the book that I needed, wanted. I put all my favorite stuff in here. I put just a lot of what I was learning and what I wanted to capture, in my life in these books. And so I'm a big fan. And hopefully other people will become big fans as well. But yeah, just get your own merch. What's to stop you? Let's see some things that I've done poorly. there have been lots. A couple of platform things. If you're just starting your author career, use the same handle for your entire platform. So have your website match your TikTok, match your Instagram, match your Facebook, whatever platforms you're using. I have been a little bit all over the place in terms of both my handle and the material that I'm providing. So my brand has not been as consistent as I would like. I wish I had started with just Carly Stevens books for everything right at the beginning, but now it's kind of muddy and there's not a lot that I can do about it unless I want to start over, basically, and I do not want to start over. So yeah, that's something that I wish I had done differently. I also wish that I had gone with an easier website builder right at the beginning. It was another podcast that I was listening to that recommended WordPress because of the customizableness. It's very customizable. However, that's for people who create websites, and that's not a skill set that I have. So just creating something that was basic and looked okay, it took a long time for me, and changing anything was a pain in the butt. So as soon as that contract expired, I switched over to Wix, and that's basically a drag and drop kind of website builder, so much easier. And so I should have gone with that at the beginning. Saved myself a bunch of time. I don't want to learn how to build websites. I can update them and learn enough to create a nice one with a simple interface, but that's something I wish I had done differently. I also wish that I hadn't stuck with so many things that weren't really working. I tend to have this level of responsibility and consistency that is very helpful in a lot of circumstances, but I'm the kind of person who will stay in a job just because it looks better on a resume to have stayed at a job for 2 years rather than quit at 6 months after I knew I hated it. I'm talking about a job in college, in case you're like a student listening to this. But like Instagram, if you look at my Instagram, the pictures, the caption, it's all quite nice. I think I have a fantastic feed, and I would post every day or multiple times a day for like years, and I got almost no traction at all. I did meet a couple people who became ARC readers and things like that, but literally just a small number. It was fewer than 10 probably that I really interacted with on a consistent basis, and who interacted with me and that kind of thing. So it took me way too long to step back from that and try something else. I would stick with something even if it wasn't working. I would just put out more content, or I would throw more money at it, or and that was just, I shouldn't have done that. I should have actually looked at what was working. Am I actually gaining any sort of traction here? Am I selling books? Am I meeting people? Am I gaining, views? Or is there anything that's going like this? And if not, then what am I doing? Why am I sticking with this when it's not working? So it's hard for me to be honest with myself like that for a couple of reasons. Another one is that I try to keep track of data and such, but I struggle with that. I'm not it doesn't come naturally to me. And so sometimes I'll forget to just pay attention to those kind of data points. And so I'm trying to be better about that this year as well. But yeah, I've needed to learn, don't stick with something if it's not working. And keep track of what actually does work and keep doing that. So with TikTok, I could see on Goodreads, for example, many more people than usual started adding Laertes, because that had just come out when I started on TikTok. So many more people started adding that to their to read list, and I started getting more sales and all these things. When I started doing TikTok, it was like, you could see the graph change in a noticeable way. So I'm like, okay, all right, something's actually moving the needle. Of miracle of miracles. And one thing that I regret at the beginning of going on TikTok was I put Laertes on a sale. I'm like, okay, I bet that's gonna draw even more people. I don't think it made a difference. People would have bought it with or without the sale. It's not a super expensive book to begin with. And I made like a tiny fraction of what I normally would have made because I discounted it so deeply trying to get more people to buy it. And so just not putting things on sale on a whim unnecessarily when it's not going to actually bring in more people. Like, that's what sales are for, bringing in more people. But yeah, and then lastly, you don't know until you try. Shoot your shot. Push publish and see what happens. Reach out to somebody for an interview. That's something that I'm so glad that I have done. I haven't done it a lot, but I've done it a couple of times, and I've been surprised at how some people have actually gotten back to me. Like Nicole Galland, who wrote I, Iago, and some other stuff that's a lot more popular, but I, Iago is amazing. I don't see how her other books could even like top that. But these people have gotten back to me because I reached out, and how cool is that? I reached out to the castle where Hamlet is supposed to have taken place, and the people got back to me and they told everybody who worked there about my book coming out. I also reached out to lots of other people who didn't ever respond or anything, but you never know till you try. Reach out to other authors, publish your book, pursue your passions, see if you can meet other people who have the same taste, the same loves, and then you'll know, and then you can learn from that. So those are some of the things that I have figured out over the past 4 years or so. I don't know how that I've figured them out completely necessarily. I have a lot of stuff to learn and a long ways to go, but it's been a good ride, and I'm so thankful that I can spend more time working on my books now that I'm part-time as a teacher. That takes so much of the pressure off. I feel so lucky. So yeah, what are some questions that you have or things that you've learned that I could benefit from? If you'd put those down below in the comments, that would be great. Like this video if you like it. Do not forget to subscribe to Carly Stevens Books for more writing, publishing, and indie author life stuff. So until next time, bye.